Start from very beginning, where your story started.
From the very beginning, when I knew something was up, was when I was, I would say the fall, when I was in seventh grade, when I first started seventh grade. Um, it was sometime in the '60s. I went to bed and I had the feeling of apprehension, and I would look out at the stars and I remember seeing one of them move, and I got nervous. I kind of freaked out, but then all of a sudden, I was out. It was like a sense of confusion, but I remember being drawn through my bedroom window, and it was shut. And I felt this can't be real, you know? I remember trying to grab at the bed sheets and not being able to do that. I lost consciousness when I was through the window, and when I regained consciousness, I was laying on a very narrow, what I would call an examination table, and inches from my face was this face of a gray being that had what appeared to be like his skin was like the texture of an elephant, and it was gray. You know, the typical tall gray. And the eyes were enormous, wrapped around to the side of his head, and there was a distinct pupil. And this pupil was a snake-like or cat-like type pupil. And I could see it dilating and, you know, back and forth. And when it communicated with me, it was through telepathy, but it was so strong that it sounded like it was actual noise. But the when I first saw the being, I had this tremendous amount of fear, and I felt like my heart was going to come out of my chest. I never felt such fear before in my life. Fear magnified. And then the being said, do not be afraid. And as soon as he spoke those words, I wasn't afraid anymore. And then he said, I will show you who I am. And when he did that, I just felt this tremendous amount of unexplainable love. I can't even begin to describe it. And around this being was what looked like a solid aura. And the colors were bordering on silvery to like a violet color, and other color, like in that range that I can't describe. And it shifted and moved. And I just, it's hard to explain how to see energy that looks solid, but that's what it looked like, solid energy. And then he, you know, that tapered down, and I asked, I was a child, you have to remember, seventh grade, so automatically I thought this creature was God, and I said, are you God? And you could see in his eyes like a smile. You know, the lips didn't move, but he found it humorous, and he said, no, but I'm of God. And I'm not trying to get religious or to bring this to a religious perspective, but I'm just telling you what I experienced at that time and how I felt. And so then he said this sort of in a congratulatory way, like, congratulations, you are chosen. And I was very confused. I said, what do you mean chosen? Chosen for what? And then he went through this dialogue of what it was about. And I don't remember all of what was said, but what I can remember of it was that they were doing something very important that was going to save a race of beings. And I don't know if it's them or us, to be honest, but my gut feeling says it's us, because I really don't think they need saving. Also, he said that he asked if I would do this, and I said, of course I will. And I didn't feel like a child when I was communicating with him. I felt like it was a communication on a soul level, like I had no age. And then he said to me that he needed to put a device, he called it a device, into my brain so that they could either communicate with me or monitor the things that were going to be going on. My memory might not be exactly right about it, the reason why the implant was put there in the very beginning, but that's at that time what I remember. And he asked permission to put it in my head, and I said, yes. But I said, is it going to hurt? And he said, no, it won't hurt. And he explained to me that I would feel some pressure and might hear some noises, and that I would also experience something pleasurable and not to be afraid. And so I just remember this long needle and the BB type thing on the end of it. And it went up, I can't remember if it was my left or my right nostril, but it went in. And I remember feeling a tremendous amount of pressure, and it frightened me a little. And when he noticed that, he placed his hand over my eyes on my forehead, and then I was calm again, and all I felt was I heard like a crackling noise. And then I had this strange experience where I was reliving a memory so vividly when I was a child that it was like it was happening over. Later, years later, I talked to someone that knew something about people that underwent brain surgery, and when a certain part of the brain was stimulated, you would actually relive things very vividly. So that sort of backs up my story a little. I remember there was some other smaller beings, not the same color that he was, but more of like the color of silly putty after it's been played with for a while. Sort of like a dirty white color. Well, like the color of silly putty. Anyway, they were doing taking skin samples, scrapings, and they were moving very quickly. The room that we were in was rather small, and there was a device hanging overhead that reminded me of the device at a dentist office. Different things came out of that, but I did not real clear about it. And
about half a minute to wrap up.
And so the next thing I remember is I found myself in another part of this ship, and I know we were in a ship. I was found myself standing inside of a circle, like part of the circle, with these other beings that looked human, and they had long robes on, long hair and beards, almost.
Let's wrap up and continue next segment.